Well, hello again everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Canal Sidings Model Railway Channel Saga Rebuilding Inglethwaite. Excuse me, I've got a very dry throat today. I don't know why. I hope I'm not getting the first cold of the winter, but we'll see. As you can see, there's a lot of black pieces of metal sitting up on top there, which are my speed frame. That arrived a couple of days ago, and I've started looking at how to use it. The first piece that you can see, I'll just zoom in a little. Okay, that piece that you can see sitting right on the front of Canal Sidings, which by the way I've just got into its absolutely correct position. That piece that's sitting right on top of Canal Sidings and overhanging both ends, you can just see the other end of it now. That is in approximately the correct position. That is 8 feet long, that piece, just over 8 feet long. Now what I had said was I was only going to span 7 feet. Best laid plans, that didn't work, because once I got Canal Sidings in place, as I have, and if I just tilt it down a bit, put all the stuff underneath it that you can see now, under there, all of the boxes and drawer units, etc., and filled in all the little spaces underneath Canal Sidings. What you can see is that all of the space is taken up. Now what I had intended was that just, excuse the creaking, this tripod is crap, just about, if I can get there, at that end, right up against the end of Canal Sidings, I intended to have a leg going down behind the extension piece. I'll just go over there and point to what I'm talking about. I had intended to have a leg, I've got a piece here that will show you where I'd intended the leg to go. I'd intended to have a leg going down here. That's in the way, try not to push it through the window. Just a little bit further over than I've got it. I've got a piece of wood here getting in the way. And I'd intended to have the leg there going down to the floor. Unfortunately, if I push that down, I get to there and immediately it crashes into these boxes. And I want those boxes there because they are a very useful storage medium. So I had to have a rethink, and what I've decided to do is that I'm going to put the leg now here, down onto, let me get out of the way. Ooh. So there's not much room in here. I'm really struggling for space. I can't get back any further. Let me just go over here. Right, I hope I'm out of the way now and that you can see what I'm looking at. I intend to have a leg about there. That might stay there. Obviously not as tall as that, but it will rest upon that table. Yes, you can just about see it. Let me come back out a little further and move you around a bit further, like that. Okay, you can see the leg better now, and my intention is that leg will come down and rest on this table, which is very strong. In fact, there's a leg almost underneath that one. And at the other end, I had intended, I'm going to swing you around again. I keep tripping over a Black & Decker workmate that's here. I'll just swing you around again. I'll try not to go too fast. We go round to the other end there, and I'll kick her out of the camera. Now I hope I can get out of the way here. I intended to have another leg here, caught up on everything, but actually further back, more like there. Now the reason for that, it's going to be a terrible crash if I let that do that. The reason for that is that the main strength of this bench is at about where I'm pointing with the end of this, if you can see it. However, I'm decided to come about, excuse me, it's about 6 inches further forward than that. I'm going past you again. And put that piece also directly under this front rail. I'm going to just drop this front rail off the top here because it keeps on falling off the top and crashing into everything. So I'm just going to move it back to there. That's better. Sorry about all the noise. Right. This is not easy because there's very little room in here. The floor is still pretty much cluttered up where I'm walking. So that was what I needed to, that's what I've decided I have to do, and that meant that the fittings that I bought, I had one type of fitting that I needed that I didn't have one of. What I thought I was going to use to fit the legs were fittings like this one, which is a piece that you have the horizontals here and the leg comes off of, whoops, falling over, the leg comes off of here. Now of course when I put that where I want it over there now, I need another piece coming out of the back here for the spar that's going to go across to join the front and the rear rails together. I didn't buy one of those, that's a 4-way one. I bought these, I bought 3-way corner ones like this, but I didn't buy any 4-way ones. And of course immediately I needed 2 4-way ones. So I've had to order those, and I'll be waiting for them to come for 2 or 3 days I expect, which will hamper progress a little further, but I can get some more of the lengths cut because I know exactly what I want to do now. Now the disadvantage of what I've done, let's come back to the middle again. Sorry about that. This tripod is pretty awful. Okay. The disadvantage of doing what I've said there is that if I take a couple of pieces of wood and set them about 6 feet apart, sorry my back's to you, but I can't really do anything else. So there's a couple of pieces of wood set 6 feet apart with a piece of the 25mm square tube sat on top of it. If I now press on the centre of that tube, there is a bit of movement. It's not as bad as I might have thought it was. Yeah, they are about 6 feet apart. Yep. It's not as bad as I thought it was. It gets a little worse when we're 8 feet. So in order to avoid any possibility of sag, I have got 2 contingency plans. One of which I had already, which was to, behind this one, fit another one of these. If I can get them both to sit on the same pieces of wood, we might be able to show what I'm talking about. It might not, but I'll give it a go. It's just falling off the other end. These bits of wood aren't really wide enough. Okay, let's try again. Put that bit of wood round there. There we go. Right, now I've got a double thickness in the horizontal direction, not the vertical direction. I can't afford the thickness in this vertical direction because I haven't got 50mm to play with above here before the baseboard sits on the top and then the rails are too high. So, but doubling this up will give me a lot more strength. Now I can't push the 2 down much further than that. Over 8 feet, that's still a little bit worse. But what I also intend to do, and I've bought the screws for it, is to actually bolt all the way through these 2 at about 25cm intervals. I've ordered some M4 countersunk bolts that are 60mm long, and I shall just put washers and nuts on the back. And as I say, those two pieces will be the same length and bolted together solidly, which should give me double the strength at the front. It makes the front a bit heavier, but that isn't a problem. That's the first contingency that I've got in place. If that still proves to be a bit too bouncy, flexible, then I can also support on canal sidings up here, at that end. I don't think you can see that end anymore, and at that end I can actually put some wooden supports. But what I can also do is put a support in the centre. If I lean on canal sidings here, the lid of it, and push it down, I really have to push quite hard to be able to move that. So I could afford a little bit of weight to be taken on there as well. So that's my contingency for the fact that I've gone from 7 to 8 feet, and that 7 feet was going to be a bit of a problem anyway, which is I couldn't try until I got this 1-inch square material. So the first problem was therefore solved, although I've had to buy some new parts. I then discovered another problem, and I'm going to take you off the tripod to show you what that is. So I'll just disappear while I do that. Okay, the next problem that I encountered was with these brackets, of which there are 3. Yeah, there's one there, there's one here, and there's one here, and then there's another one that's not on top of canal sidings up there. Now these 3 brackets used to be, I'll just zoom in a little, used to be the shape of that one, but where they're sitting, and that is where they have to sit, I can't lift canal sidings up. So I'm just trying to hold this camera a little bit closer to them and zoom out a little bit so that I can reach them at the same time. Right, this is taking the weight, but I've had to make a gap under there because on the back of canal sidings there is a lip. It faces downwards, and what that does is it allows me to clip it over the top of the back scenes and the side scenes, so that it makes it like a stage roof and completely seals the whole thing up. But in order to get the top off canal sidings, which I'm going to need to do, I need to lift it 6mm, and I didn't have that 6mm. Now those brackets are where they have to go, and we'll go along here now and look at this one again. That bracket there, and if I zoom out a little further, you can now see the end of the old baseboard and that bracket, and you can also see a piece of the 25mm material on top of it, the 25mm speed frame on top of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build something up there, and I'll come back again. Okay, what you can see there, I hope I'm holding this camera still enough, is a representation of the baseboard sitting on top of the speed frame. The baseboard is the 50mm foam. Then there's 12mm of material underneath the foam. There is 3mm of material which is actually sitting under the foam, which is on top of the speed frame. And then there's 4mm of cork on top of the whole thing. And that brings the track level. That represents the track level. And that is about 16mm lower than it needs to be. Just there. I'm going to pull back now because I'm getting arm ache trying to hold that still. So what I'll do is I'll just, sorry about that, I've just got the camera a bit more steady. So that 16mm is less than 25, that's the important thing. Okay, so if we look at the brackets, they sit in these uprights which are fixed to the wall. And these uprights allow you to move the brackets up and down. but the minimum distance you can move the bracket is 25 millimeters in steps of 25 millimeters. They're an inch apart. Now my problem is that I have, if I put the brackets up another 25 millimeters, my track level is going to be too high and I can do nothing about that. But if I put the brackets down 25 millimeters, my track level is going to be too low, and I can overcome that by packing out the speed frame on the brackets, which is nice and easy to do. So that's what I've had to do. I've had to drop them down, which is why they've ended up so low, even though they don't appear to need to go that low. I haven't got any more resolution than that. So there's my second problem, which I think I've solved by cutting bits out of the brackets. I'm going to put you back on the tripod now. Okay, that's better, much more comfortable now it's back on the tripod. You're in a different position now, so you get another view of Canal Sidings and the space underneath it, and the way that I've used pretty well every bit of that space. What this table here is it's a TV table, if you like, for putting over your armchair. I use one for my laptop. They're pretty rickety, but they work okay with a bit of weight on the top. What this is for is it takes the controls for Canal Sidings. They're not on it yet, but that's what normally goes on it. And then they can be pushed under there like that, completely out of the way. I think I might have shown that many videos ago when I was doing videos on Canal Sidings. The other thing that I've not mentioned is that on the bottom of all the legs will be these, which are adjustable feet. You just unscrew them and then you can move that nut up and down and lock that in place. They're adjustable by about ½ an inch, and they will be on the bottom of all the legs such that I have the ability to totally adjust where the height is of each corner of the layout. They just push into the bottom of the speed frame pieces. In order to cut the speed frame, I'm going to swing you around a bit now. I'm standing in front of the camera, but oh, I can't do it with that. Hang on. Oh, I'm backwards. I can't do anything. Right. In order to cut the speed frame, what I have been using is that. This is really hard, working from in front of the camera, watching backwards what you're doing. Okay, let's move you in. In order to cut the speed frame, I've been using this, which is just screwed, comes with screw holes in it, screwed onto my workmate bench, and you put the speed frame in there, you drop your hacksaw blade down a couple of slots there, and you can saw it. And you do get pretty square joins. Here's one that I did earlier, and it is pretty square. It's cut reasonably well. So I'm not unhappy with those. I've got quite a few to cut. And I did buy some brand new hacksaw blades as well. I bought a whole pack of about 10, I think, in there. Was the first one I used seemed pretty good. Anyway, that's a bit of a rough and ready video, but it shows you where I've actually got to, and the fact that I am doing some progress. It also demonstrates to you that I have no workbench in here. My actual workbench on wheels is now dismantled and in the garage. Not permanently dismantled. Dismantling it is just a case of unscrewing the four legs. But it's ended up standing in the garage with the four legs laying in it, and is likely to be there for quite some time. What I want to do is a video on my SuperPoints DCC module, which is using an Arduino to control up to 12 points, up to 12 servos that can be driving points directly from DCC commands. That's going to take a little while to do, but a lot of people have expressed interest after I gave a taster of it in a previous video, and so I will be doing a video on that, and I will ultimately make the software for it, for the Arduino, available to anybody who wants to download it, and I'll make a list of where I got all the parts available for anybody who wants to buy them. Because I've tried to make it as easy as possible for myself to build several of them, or for anybody else to build them. So what we'll do is we'll produce a video like that as soon as I get the opportunity. Excuse me again. So I'm going to say that's it for today. I'm going to wind this video up, say thanks for watching, and possibly in a week's time I'll show you if I've got any more progress. Hopefully in a week's time I might have a frame built and in some semblance of the right place, and then I can start building baseboards which sit on the frame, but there was no point in putting baseboards together before that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.